This is a Channel 12 sports presentation.
Channel 12 Sports presents FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Action. Tonight, it's the FCIAC Championship featuring number 1 and undefeated Wilton taking on number 2 New Canaan. Well, hi again, everyone, and welcome to Boyle Stadium here in Stanford. I'm Bill Ganello, and along with Lang Clark, we're pleased to be bringing you the FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Championship featuring number 1 Wilton and number 2 New Canaan. And Lang, when we say number 1 and number 2, it seems that year in and year out, these two programs, Wilton and New Canaan, are among the best. So this year, really no surprise, is it?
There definitely is not. Of the 18 FCIAC championships, Wilton has 10 of them, New Canaan has 5. They're always in the final twosome.
And, you know, year in and year out, these teams always put on, well, genuine displays of offensive and defensive talent. But offensively, looking at New Canaan, they've got one sniper, Craig Schubert. He can really dominate. He can put that ball in the net.
Well, Craig Schubert has 42 goals and 23 assists, and he is leading the team from scoring at the attack position. The rest of the team is very evenly paced, good, solid, workmanlike offense.
And when you look at Wilton on the other end of it, talk about goal scoring, it's almost obscene the type of numbers that Andy Flick has put on this year. 70-something. I mean, I stopped counting after like 50. This kid has put up some incredible numbers, but again, he hasn't done it alone.
He is assisted by Travis Witten, who has 60-plus assists this year, 45 of them to Andy Flick. Andy has 77 goals, which is a new school record for Wilton, surpassing the 76 scored by Bill Bishop in the late 80s.
You know, and looking at these two teams, you know, tremendous depth, especially on the Wilton side. They've got tremendous speed. But in talking to both coaches, as we did before this game, they have a different game plan. You look at it from the New Canaan end, and I think they're going to try to slow the game down a bit.
New Canaan needs to control the ball on offense, slow the game down, keep Wilton from getting into that run-and-gun type of offense that they like to do, transition up and down the field, which is where they score their goals most of the time.
And on the Wilton end of it, you can look at the tremendous depth, the tremendous speed, maybe Guy Witten's best team ever overall. So I don't think they want to change a darn thing in tonight's game.
I can't see it at all. He wants to go for his first undefeated season in 26 years, and I think he has a good shot at it this year.
Absolutely right. Among the many accolades in Guy Witten's career, the over 400 wins, etc., still looking for that first undefeated season. Will it continue? We'll have to wait and see. Stay with us. This is FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Action here. Stay with us.
Today's FCIAC Lacrosse Championship game is brought to you in part by the Connecticut Lacrosse Foundation, fostering the growth of lacrosse at all levels. Prudential Wheeler Real Estate, serving Fairfield County for over 68 years. And by Connie Youth Lacrosse, covering all of Connecticut and southeastern New York. The Wilton Lacrosse Association and the Darien Youth Lacrosse Association. Visit the 66th Annual Oxridge Charity Horse Show, Monday, June 12th through Father's Day, June 18th, at the Oxridge Hunt Club in Darien. Our championship horses and riders will thrill you. Our boutique garden will delight you. And in return, you'll help Darien's Center for Hope, where families and individuals find comfort when facing serious illness. New this year, Sunday's $35,000 Oxridge Grand Prix, an official U.S. Equestrian Team Regional Show Jumping Championship. For more information, call 655-2559.
Welcome back to Boyle Stadium. There's the opening face-off. There you see New Canaan, the Rams, and the visiting red jerseys getting ready to get this one underway. Wilton, of course, the undefeated team in the home white jerseys. We're here in Stanford, again, the site of the FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Championship game. And Lang, again, as you look at it, you see already sort of a slowdown, and Wilton taking advantage.
Okay, Wilton just was able to force New Canaan to not get the ball into the box in 10 seconds. They lost possession for the failure to advance. What was also interesting is that New Canaan started off with Brett Wilderman facing off a defenseman, which is very unusual. Normally they have Mike Johnson, facing off.
Well, that shot attempt, so right away, Wilton putting the pressure on it, went wide of the mark, but held in by Guesso. There you see Andy Flick, and you'll see a lot of him today, I'm sure. Being ridden hard, though, nicely. New Canaan playing it pretty good. Brandon Hall checked away, and now Brandon controls. And again, you're talking about some fine athletes on this New Canaan squad line.
They have very strong defense. They match up very well with Wilton, which is something that very few other teams in the state have been able to do. The closest anybody came to that was when Wilton played Yorktown 2 weeks ago.
Another tremendous contest. Ball went out of bounds, so Wilton will get it back and control. Just underway, 11 minutes even to go, first quarter. No score in the FCIAC championship game. There's a good look at the goaltender, Steve Ward. Done a decent job this year for the Warriors, but again, obscured by the tremendous talent on this team.
Well, that's always a problem, but he follows in the tradition of Wilton. Always has a good goalkeeper, going back years. And here you can see New Canaan is pressuring Wilton just a bit outside of the box, trying to slow down their transition.
John O'Donnell controls. Now he moves into the attack zone, working in, trying to feed it. It's brushed away.
Excellent defense from New Canaan. And there we have a nice clearing pass up to Don.
That's Gurney on a breakaway. Jail breaks it, and now New Canaan sets it up. Gurney, another fine athlete on this team. In fact, in talking to Coach Benedict earlier, he pointed to him as a guy who has to have a big game tonight, as does, of course, New Canaan's goaltender.
And here you have New Canaan with a nice settled offense, running their plays, bringing people in, looking for a quick shot. There they have a nice save.
First one, and I'll tell you what, he was tested early on. Now there's a scramble for it.
This is something New Canaan has to do, contest every ground ball, really fight.
Ward was tested early, and there you see the toughness. And again, New Canaan knows it has to slow it down a bit and try to keep the pressure on and pepper the goaltender Ward. Now remember, the last time in fact, talk about the first meeting of these two teams, it was a New Canaan lead early on.
They were very hot in the beginning. Their goalie was very strong, and they were up 5-0 at one point. And then New Canaan just...
And there's a shot and a goal right there, so New Canaan gets on it early. Mike Johnson, a guy who was second on the team in scoring, has over 30 goals, went right in front and shot it past Ward, and the Rams are up 1-0 early on.
Now, Mike Johnson's a very versatile player. He has played midfield, and he's played attack for this team all year long. He's faced off a number of times, although tonight they have Brett Wilderman doing the facing off against Payson Bullard for Wilton.
And Payson Bullard, another solid player for this Wilton squad. Face-off controlled by New Canaan. Nice work there by the Rams. Ball now in the offensive zone for New Canaan. Cleared, nice check there in front. There's Johnson. Ball still loose, and now the whistle blows. It looks like Wilton will retain. Steve Rue is patrolling the sidelines, and we'll get to Steve in a few moments. Steve is, again, going to be patrolling the sidelines. Just to give you a brief opening, he will sort of give us a little sideline perspective throughout, and we'll go to him periodically throughout the game.
Now, in that case there, we had a hit from behind by a New Canaan player, and Wilton retained possession. It was considered a loose ball. And now New Canaan is moving back to set up what they hope is a very slowed down type of pace for Wilton.
Well, Zuckerman moved in and was worked away, ridden hard. Now a whistle blows and stops play. Wilton will retain.
We have a push from behind in New Canaan, so Wilton will retain the ball on the outside of the box over there.
9:19 to go, first quarter. Again, it's 1-0. Shot there, saved nicely. Campbell clearing it is Campbell. And again, he's got to play big. He probably is the key player for New Canaan if they want to stay in and take this one. Here comes Wilton the other way.
Well, he definitely is very important in New Canaan's game plan. They need to have a strong showing in the cage, or else Wilton will just pepper you all day long.
O'Donnell moving in now. A feed in front, a shot and a goal. Nice look there. O'Donnell caught it, grabbed it, pushed it home. John O'Donnell, a heck of a soccer player, a quick athlete, another guy who's on his way to Duke, scores, and we're tied at 1.
And he had a beautiful feed from Mike Schuloff over on the left side here. It was a beautiful play, nice transition goal. Actually, not transition, but just a nice set play, moving it around out front.
I talked to Mike's mom this morning, so maybe that may have helped out. I don't think so. 1-1 is the count right now, just underway. So again, we've had some pretty fast-paced and exciting action early on. Again, this is the FCIAC Championship. When we say 1 and 2, we mean it. You're looking at, my guess, two of the best teams, if not two of the best teams in the area, not just the state. running in, shooting it on. It's a little bit wide of the mark. That's Brett Wilderman.
A defenseman's dream is to always score a game, especially in a championship, and they let him get all the way down there. He's doing an excellent job in the faceoff. That's his third win, or at least controlling the midfield.
Well, Brett is going to Cornell, another Ivy League power.
He also is an excellent football player, too. Did a great job this year.
He'll be joined by Brandon Hall, by the way, in there. Well, riding him hard, shooting one on. That was Mark DiGiovanni. Mark, a part-time player, but because of the tremendous depth, he gets a decent run, but if it was another situation, he'd probably get even more time.
A little sloppy there on the clear on New Canaan's point. They need to keep that ball in play and controlled the whole time and not turn it over like that.
Hey, you have a good look at number 32, Andy Flick. He had these 70-something goals on the campaign.
Very strong player, very powerful, a great finisher, probably one of the best finishers we've seen in the state in years.
Works tremendously well with Travis Whitten. Moving in, shooting one, and a goal. So Andy Flick, again, showing the tremendous athleticism, deking the defender, powering it past Campbell, and now Wilton takes a 2-1 lead.
It's amazing. He may not have the strongest shot, but he has an extremely accurate shot, especially from the right side there. He can put it in anywhere in the cage.
Again, Bill Bishop, who graduated back in the late 80s, had the record at 76. And we do know that Andy has surpassed that. But most importantly, for the Warriors, Wilton finds itself ahead 2-1.
And there you have Payson Bullard finally controlling a face-off there, keeping Wilderman away from it, although Wilderman now comes up with it. Well, it's hard to fight that big man with that big stick.
Yeah, the long stick controlled momentarily there by Mike Johnson, ridden off, and here comes Wilton.
And here we go with the transition, which New Canaan has to stop.
There's Bullard. Bullard carries.
There's another solid player, Payson Bullard. He's done it for them for years.
Down low, there's Shuloff. He's looking in now behind the cage. Here comes Flick, trying to get a wraparound, looking in front, puts one close. Shuloff tried to take a whack at it. Campbell saves, and he'll clear it out of there.
Nice defense in New Canaan's part. Clogged up the middle and didn't allow them to have an easy shot for Andy Flick coming around. But again, sloppy play in the midfield, which New Canaan has to be careful of.
O'Brien couldn't connect there, and here comes Wilton on the attack. Left side feed. Having the idea momentarily was Zuckerman, changes his mind. Now sets it up.
Looks like they're both trying to settle down their offense, get the jitters out, the butterflies for a championship game, settle it down so they can get into their game plan.
Under 7 minutes, it's 2-1. O'Donnell moves in front, shot and a goal for Shuloff, as it was a beautiful feed. The pass from O'Donnell set it up. Shuloff pretty much uncovered Lang, and he knew where to put it, and he beats Campbell, and it's 3-1.
Well, you had New Canaan shifted over to cover O'Donnell as he came down. Here we have it. And as O'Donnell came down, shifted over, they left Shuloff open. Nice, easy feed, easy goal. It's very tough for a goalie to defend against that when it changes direction.
So Shuloff approaching the 30-goal number on the season. And again, he's a great player, but, I mean, this guy does not go quarter to quarter. He plays most of the game, but not the whole game, and, again, doing very well. Bullard trying to win that faceoff. And now as the ball is at the midfield area, let's send it down to Steve Rue for some sideline commentary. Steve?
One thing we were talking about before the game was the fact that the field seemed a little bit narrower and might slow down that Wilton transition game, but so far it hasn't had any effect whatsoever. Wilton, with good spacing, has been able to really take it up the middle or either wing, and it's like it's these white shirts on the outside of this Red Sea as far as getting into the defensive zone. The Wilton spacing has been great and has created a lot of those opportunities for them so far.
Well, so far, Steve, they've parted the waters. 3-1, 6:15. Whistle blows stopping play.
We have a slash on New Canaan, so Wilton will now be a man up for a minute. This is something that they did not want to have happen to them. They cannot afford to play man down with the ball movement that Wilton has always had. Nice control around the outside.
Again, we're here at Boyle Stadium in Stamford, home of the Knights, but host to the FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Championship featuring Wilton and New Canaan.
Now here we have Bogle, a sophomore, with the ball right there, moving it around.
Flick at it momentarily. Bogle shot there and a goal. Oh, did O'Donnell put it right to the upper right corner of the net. Campbell never had a chance. Again, the setup pass was perfect. He put it right on his stick, and O'Donnell does it again.
This is set up by the ball movement around the outside. Over to Bogle. Bogle over to the middle there to O'Donnell, and a nice open shot at the upper corner. That's what New Canaan cannot allow Wilton to do, is be a man up or have an open shot, because they've got strong shooters all the way down the line.
There you see the score, 4-1. Wilton again allowing the first goal of the game, and apparently that's when the wake-up call came, because since then they have controlled the pace. Johnson wins the face-off for New Canaan. He rushes it into the offensive area. Whistle blows. Stopping play, and I think New Canaan has asked for and receives a timeout. 5 minutes, 52 seconds to go in the first quarter of play. There's a break in the action. Let's take this timeout. Again, the score is Wilton 4 and New Canaan 1.
You're from Big.
Take a Broadway musical with the hits from Guys and Dolls, Most Happy Fella, and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Add an incredible cast of Broadway talent, and then have your world premiere in Connecticut on Friday and Saturday, June 9th and 10th. It's Frank Lesser's People. 2 performances only at 8 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, June 9th and 10th at the Westport Arts Center. Call the Westport Arts Center for tickets, 222-7070. Don't you dare miss it. Call 222-7070.
Welcome back to Boyle Stadium. Again, New Canaan asked for a timeout, discussing it right now. This is the boys' final. Earlier, the girls played, and it was a pretty good matchup.
It was an excellent game. Today at 4 o'clock, we had the girls' FCIAC finals in Darien. And Darien won 13-7. It was a very tough first half, very close. In the second half, Darien just really stepped it up another notch. Great game.
In talking about this game here with New Canaan, I'm surprised we haven't heard from the Amons a little bit more, Mark and Chris.
Well, again, the offense on the New Canaan side really hasn't done much yet. You're going to have to let them get the ball down and move it around. It's really been Wilton pretty much, except for the faceoffs.
Of course, Mark and Chris, tremendous athletes, both pretty good football players. In fact, I believe Chris was an all-state football player.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the amazing thing about Chris, you know, again, number 11, you'll see him periodically throughout the match, but he had reconstructive knee surgery. I mean, he didn't have this arthroscopic stuff. He had a pretty serious knee operation, and he's already back and performing quite well.
It's amazing. It really is. And he and his brother both are going to Duke next year, and they'll be playing for a Wilton person. Mike Pressler, who graduated in the 70s, and the head coach down at Duke this year.
Twins, those two are, the Amons. There you have a good look at Mike Johnson. He's in the offensive area for New Canaan.
And right now you can see he's playing midfield as opposed to attack. Howard Benedict will move him back and forth, back and forth. He faced off earlier on. Now he's playing midfield. He has been attacked earlier, too.
Again, he's probably the leader on this squad. In fact, Coach Benedict said in order for the team to do well, he has to step up and play well in these big games. Well, the ball is loose. Still fighting for it. New Canaan comes away and trying to make the offensive answer. There you look at Mark Amon. There's a good look at him. Mark controlling.
And Chip Buzzio out the middle right there with the ball. He has been a very solid player for them this year at midfield. Also an excellent hockey player.
Yeah, terrific hockey player. Tremendous hustle, great speed, too. Probably one of the best all-around players. In fact, he may be the best hockey player in the state. That's arguable, but number 16 that you see there at the right side of your screen, you may be seeing the best hockey player in the state of Connecticut. He's moving in, shooting one. A bouncer goes wide of the mark. Controlling it in, Chris Amon. His pass a little too wide, and that miscue is going to cost him.
Well, there you have a little sloppy play. New Canaan was able to settle the ball down, run around their offense, set up the plays, put a bad pass to the side, and Wilton has the ball. You'll notice also that the New Canaan players are all dropping back to set themselves up in the defensive mode so that Wilton cannot run the ball down the field and get an unsettled situation.
Well, we know that Guy Whitten has 400 and some odd wins. When I talked to him, I said, how many wins do you have? He says, I really don't know. I said, how many losses do you have? And before I can even answer, 72. So he knew exactly how many losses he's had. But the wins, I think, are a different story. But again, 16 state championships is, I think, something you can hang your hat to.
He also, just so you know, he's only one of only 3 high school coaches to have 400 wins, which I think is amazing.
It simply is amazing. That ball goes out of bounds as Wilton winged it, and New Canaan will get it. Again, we're approaching the 4-minute mark of the first quarter, and Wilton, the Warriors, find themselves 4-1 ahead of the Rams from New Canaan.
And again, here you have the nice patient movement by New Canaan, and again, excellent defense on Wilton's part to keep the ball from getting down to their defensive end of the field.
Well, there you see it, a nice look had Payson Bullard. He fed it left side. Now Wilton trying to set things up. There you have Travis Wilton. Again, he's the assist man. If you would say these guys have specialties, well, Flick is the goal scorer. That's his specialty. He's like a three-point shooter, but Witten's like the point guard out there. He will assist and feed. Loses it there, and New Canaan breaks away.
But Travis Wilton has really stepped it up this year. He's filled a position in attack that is really necessary as the unselfish feeder, and he's done an excellent job all season long. Matter of fact, in the last couple of games, he's really come on even better.
After a bit of sloppy play, Wilton comes away with it and now controls. There's Mark DiGiovanni working in, maneuvering, losing possession of it, and resets.
Again, you can see how tight New Canaan is playing the Wilton players.
Wilton tried to either a shot or a pass. I think he was attempting one for Shuloff. It goes out of bounds, so Wilton will retain as we approach now the 3-minute mark. Here comes Shuloff. Up high, winding and firing the bouncer. Goes wide of the mark by Jeff Zuckerman and out of bounds.
But you'll notice, again, no matter where the ball is brought into play, New Canaan player is right on top of the Wilton guy, poking, pushing, trying to do everything he can to keep that ball from getting out of his stick.
Wilton maneuvers in there, and Wilton gets checked off the play nicely by Scott Leach, and now here comes New Canaan the other way. There's Tim Boyd. Boyd, another key player on this team, just very young.
And there you saw Wilton. New Canaan shoved Craig Schubert into the field on the offensive end and immediately lost the ball. He's going back now to play defense, but they like to shuttle in their defensive and offensive specialists. Both teams do. DiGiovanni
carries. He sends it back to Zuckerman, and they reset. We're getting near the 2-minute mark. Wilton up by 3. Zuckerman moves in. Shot couldn't connect. Actually, the pass couldn't connect there, but Wilton retains.
Just good, steady, patient offense from both teams.
O'Donnell. Now Zuckerman with Schubert on him. Maneuvers around, fires one in front to Wilton. Finally goes deep. There's O'Donnell with an opportunity. Can't get it to go. Zuckerman carries. Tries to go around the long stick of Wilderman, and he controls. Nice stick work there. The lead a little too strong for Schubert. Controlled again. Here comes Adam Wolfman.
Excellent defenseman, great speed, and
great assist. Beautiful pass in front for the goal by Zuckerman. But again, it started with Wolfman, who made the offensive move after the nice defensive play, and the gracious host of the catch was Zuckerman, and he gladly cashed in.
Well, here this play all started with the smart heady-up play by the midi, went back, let Wolfman go down, probably one of the fastest guys in the team, and a nice feed out front, but the midfielder who stepped back allowed the defenseman to go down the field, set that goal up. And so again, out front here we have the same twosome. Actually, we've changed over. Now you've got Mike Johnson facing off instead of Brett Wilderman.
You know, and the funny thing about Wolfman is, you talk about all the great players that they have on this team. Well, you're talking about an all-state player. The guy doesn't get a lot of accolades because of all the tremendous offense. Young man's going to Princeton. He's an extremely quick player, and in talking to Coach Whitney, he said great stick work. Well, we saw it just before, and it's 5-1 as we approach the 119 mark. Coming in untouched, firing one on was Payson Bullard. He paid the price for it. Ball still controlled, though, by Wilton. Pass in front, and now New Canaan definitely taking a more physical posture as they're down by 4 goals with 1 minute to go now in the first quarter of play.
The one reason I think that you see New Canaan doing this is earlier in the season, Fairfield Prep played Wilton very tight and were very physical. And maybe they're trying to do the same thing.
Well, Payson Bullard came crashing up the middle, and when his shot went wide of the mark, he was labeled.
Now that's something with the transition game that Wilton plays. Very seldom do people ever have a chance to really hit them. By settling it down like this, they are going to have a little more physical game than they're used to, maybe.
Travis Whitten maneuvering in, shooting one, goes wide of the mark and out of bounds. And a penalty flag is dropped at the 45-second mark of the first quarter.
We have a technical foul, 30 seconds against Wilton right now. It looks like, against New Canaan. They're going to be a man down for the next 30 seconds.
There's a good look at Guy Whitten. Again, been here for a lot of years. Made the program what it is today, and just a tremendous, tremendous coach. His future uncertain. It's been talked about in town.
Well, he's going to retire as a coach, but I don't think he's going to retire as a teacher. He wants to go down and watch both of his boys, Alex, who is going to be a junior at Duke, and Travis, who's going to be a freshman, play lacrosse in college. And I don't blame him. He's put in a lot of time developing the program here in Wilton. and it's time that he can enjoy part of it besides just coaching on the sidelines.
There you had a nice look at John O'Donnell, whined and fired. It went over the net. 25 seconds to go now in the first quarter of play. And just to finish our thought on Whitten, you know, it's funny. You talk about Coach Whitten, people in town, you hear all sorts of incredible rumors about him coaching at Duke and taking over this program and that program. And I think he's happy where he is. I think you pretty much hit it on the head. I think he's probably going to retire and be a teacher and watch his sons play. 3 seconds to go now in the first quarter of play. Controlling it now is Stuart McDew, and DeCue gets hit right as he's leaving.
We have an injury down here.
And it looks like Wilderman. No, Wilderman got hit as he was going down, as there's now 1 second on the clock. Let's take a look at that last exchange.
Again, here we have two Wilton guys going after the ball. A real tough situation when you're trying to bang the ball around. You could inadvertently hit someone in the arm. It looks like he'll be okay. He just got stunned. But again, that is, some people wonder why we allow these guys to play with sticks and hit each other. It's a fun game, and
well, Brett's a heck of a competitor, and he's also big and strong, and I'm sure we'll see him throughout. That wraps up one quarter here at Boyle Stadium in Stanford, and after one, it is Wilton leading New Canaan in the FCIAC Boys Lacrosse Championship 5-1. We'll be back with second quarter action. Stay with us.
The New Canaan Mounted Troop will hold a benefit Polo Challenge Cup with a luncheon and silent auction at the Greenwich Polo Club Sunday, June 11th. The New Canaan Mounted Troop is a nonprofit educational equestrian organization offering adult and children's riding programs that's been part of New Canaan's history for the past 55 years. Funds raised by this thrilling day of polo and prizes will be used to underwrite the group's excellent community activities and preserve the troop for future generations. For reservations, call 966-0634.
This summer, New Haven, Connecticut will host nearly 1.5 million people, spectators at the 1995 Special Olympics World Games, the largest sports event to be held around the world this year. The World Games are scheduled for July 1st through 9th.
Many of the activities at the Games will run parallel to Interstate 95. So if you're traveling in Connecticut that week, consider using one of our less traveled but easy alternate routes. You'll find alternate route maps located at any rest stop along all Connecticut highways.
go.
Welcome back to Boyle Stadium. Bill Ganello here along with Len Clark. Steve Rue joining us. The numbers in the first quarter were pretty close. Steve Rue is down on the sidelines. He watched the first quarter. And, Steve, your perspective?
Well, I tell you, taking a look at the first quarter, I decided I wanted somebody who had a little more familiarity with what was going on with me down here. So I got the Norwalk coach, Randy McHugh, who lost to Wilton on Tuesday night. And looks like what happened to you up there.
Yeah, they're a very strong team. I like what New Canaan's doing. I think they got a good game plan. It's just Wilton has so many weapons. There's so many guys they can go to.
What is it exactly that New Canaan is trying to do that isn't working?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is get their defensive pulls on Zuckerman and O'Donnell and try to shut them down. They kind of niche out of Wilton's offense, but Wilton has other guys they can go to.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. And, of course, you're hoping to meet up with one of these two in the States, at least.
Well, we're hoping for that.
So that's the story down here. He's seen this before. Last time it was as a losing coach. This time he's watching it happen to someone else.
He absolutely is, Steve. Thanks very much. Of course, you'll see T.J. Trimboli. These guys aren't out of it yet. Don't worry about that. Second quarter action just about getting underway. You see the face-off. Wilderman obviously okay because he is facing off against Bullard. Ball is still being controlled, and finally New Canaan comes up with it. Lang, while we have the opportunity, why don't you go over some first quarter numbers?
Well, pretty even in the ground balls, 10-9 for Wilton's favor. Face-offs, even again, pretty much straight up. The difference we see are shots. Wilton has taken 9 shots. New Canaan has 4. And Wilton also has 2 man-up situations, and they've scored on 1 of them. So pretty much, except for shots, it's going even-steven. Here we have failure to advance into the offensive end by New Canaan, so they lose possession of the ball. They have 10 seconds once they get it over to midfield to get it into the offensive box. So Wilton gets possession.
And there you see Bullard controlling now O'Donnell.
Now Payson Bullard, as you can see, is a specialist. He comes off now. They're going onto offense, and they move in. Number 6, Jeff Zuckerman, and he'll run the offense from the point up here.
And he's maneuvering in the offensive attack area. Now you see Wilton again in the home white going from our right to left. Of course, they have changed changed sides in this quarter, so.
And New Canaan gets the ball. They were closest as it went out of bounds. You're going to see Wilton drop back, let them walk the ball up in a nice, comfortable clear. Soft ride, as we call it.
Well, again, New Canaan with the ball now, trying to maneuver in, working with it. That is Chris Avon. He falls and being ridden hard now and trying to make the advance. And basically, Wilton not allowing penetration here.
Wilton's defense is excellent. It's never given the credit that their offense is, but they have three or four of the best defensemen around. And again, as I said, their goalie follows in the tradition and the history of Wilton goalies. Always have an excellent goaltender.
Yeah, Garrett Sheffrath. I mean, here's a guy we haven't even talked about, and he's a big kid. He's about 6'2", maybe 180. As New Canaan with the shot opportunity. Nice save in front. Beautiful there by Steve Ward. Good stopper, great stick handler. You know you're going to see him on a Division I team probably next year. He's probably PG at All-State performer.
Now there you had the New Canaan players run right back on to defense, didn't sit around and wait. We have offsides also on Wilton here, so New Canaan's going to get the ball a little unsettled there. They didn't keep a man back. So now you have New Canaan might be able to capitalize on a Wilton mistake.
By the way, if that name Sheffrath is familiar, I'm sure many might remember his father, who was an all-pro offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns back in the Jim Brown days of the early 60s. So you're talking about pretty good lineage there.
Well, speaking of Jim Brown, he was an All-American lacrosse player up at Syracuse.
Syracuse sure was.
And he still says his favorite sport was lacrosse.
Is that right?
Definitely.
And by the way, geez, who won the national championship for, I think, the 5th time in the last 6 years?
Syracuse had a great game on Monday and did a great job. You have a couple of Wilton boys that played on that team.
Sure do.
You also have a Norwalk player, Ira Vanderpool. You've got a number of Fairfield.
And they keep doing their tradition well. And here's probably a future player. There's Mark Amon. You'll see him probably down the road playing some sport somewhere. Mark had the opportunity in front and winged it past Ward for a goal for New Canaan.
Well, here you have a good, steady offense. Mike Johnson right over to the open man. Bingo. Mark Amon puts it in. Wilton didn't cover him well enough, and they found the open man.
So it's 5-2 now, and New Canaan, much like it did in the opening quarter, scores the first time in this quarter.
And again, New Canaan is back to having Brett Wilderman facing off against Payson Bullard.
Bullard controls the face. Runs around the checking. Gets around Hall. Now taking it into the attack area, Zuckerman.
And here you have Payson Bullard coming back out again, and John O'Donnell is going to go in on offense. Wilton is well known for having offensive and defensive middies, and it has worked to perfection over the years for them.
There's a nice look at Travis Witten, eluding the defender, loses possession of the ball, but a gratuitous hop there taken by Zuckerman. He now controls. And Wilton slowing up the pace a little bit, trying to keep it on this end of the field. Here comes Flick. He's been quiet.
Again, New Canaan is not letting Wilton have any free passes, easy balls. Everything is being contested, from when it comes across the midfield to when it goes all the way down to the other end of the field.
Bogle with an opportunity there, puts one close. Nice save, Campbell, and they run it out. Give a nice look at Hall. He now feeds it ahead. Will O'Brien dumps it in. There's Mike Johnson. Mike with the 36 goals on the campaign.
Just a good, steady player. 36 goals is an excellent season for anybody.
Tim Knowles, the captain of this team, and again, another underrated performer. Captain of the football team, can really do it all. An underrated performer.
And there, a smart play. He got in front of Mike Johnson, and the only way Mike Johnson could have gotten to the ball was push him from behind, and Wilton gets possession.
Knowles, by the way, another guy going to Duke. He was an all-stater from last year. Nice size. Just again, another unsung player on this very fine defensive squad.
Well, Duke always gets the best of the Wilton players over the years. Duke and Notre Dame are two schools that have been able to build the program around Wilton players. When they played in the NCAAs this year, it was considered Wilton A versus the Wilton B team.
And there's a nice look at a Wilton A player right there, John O'Donnell maneuvering in.
And again, there you have Mark DiGiovanni out front, who was hit from behind while the ball was in the air, so Wilton retains possession.
And Flick controls. There you have a good look at number 32, Andy Flick.
It's interesting that they moved Andy Flick out to the point on a midfield position for that one play right there.
Well, how about that one for a goal, John O'Donnell? I think everybody in the place and on the field was thinking pass. I think he saw the opportunity. He flicked it up high, beat Campbell, and another goal. Wilton answers back.
New Canaan gave him just a little opening. It was a great shot. He just pushed his man over to the right side of the cage, just enough room to get one shot off.
So at the 7:15 mark now of the second quarter, there you see it. Wilton once again grabs that 4-goal lead at 6-2.
Again, here you have a slight change in the faceoff. Mike Johnson is facing off instead of Brett Wilderman, but in the Wilton side, Payson Bullock does it again. He's their specialist and is doing a great job.
Payson carries. And a flag thrown. I believe there might be a hold there, Lang. Yeah.
We have a penalty over a hold on, I think it's on Brandon Hall.
Yeah, it was.
On the far side there. A hold, wrapped his stick around and pulled the player back. You just can't do that.
Brandon Hall, another Cornellian pretty soon. The guy on his way there, big and athletic.
Well, it's an excellent defense up in New Canaan. And those are always the things when you're trying to play tight defense out front and someone beats you just a bit, you've got to do anything you can to keep them from getting a breakaway.
Wilton keeping it on the perimeter, winding and shooting and firing. O'Donnell off the mark. Wilton retains.
Again, just good ball moving around the outside. Just try to set up the open man.
DiGiovanni, an errant pass goes out of bounds.
Every once in a while it happens. But it's something that you should never let happen when you're on a man-up situation. You try to keep that ball in the stick, move it around, try to get the defenseman to shift too late and leave someone open.
There's a good look at Andy Flick. Andy, of course, the single-season goal scorer, #1. Approaching the 80. I'm sure he'll pass the 80-goal mark by the time the whole thing's over, maybe even more.
Well, he's got 4 games to go, including this one, if you figure that they're going to win the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and be in the final game for the States, which is a very good possibility with the strength of this team. They could conceivably be #1 in the country this year.
Yeah, if that quote, mythical national championship, it could be theirs. And they certainly have proven it. Now, I suppose they have some terrific competition schools down, in Maryland and such, but I think you're looking at certainly one of the best teams, if not the best team.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And here's one of the reasons, a very strong defense out there, being able to move. And again, New Canaan being very patient, trying to move the ball around, looking for an open man. Just slowly, steadily play that ball, and don't let it touch the ground.
Chris Amon had it now. It's Schubert. He's being ridden hard.
And again, Wilton is doing the same thing New Canaan did. They're playing the men very tight. They're not letting them have any breathing room no matter where they are.
Mike Johnson controls, sort of directing the traffic as we approach the 5-minute and 30-second mark of this contest with it 6-2, Wilton in the lead, a 4-goal lead. Here comes Johnson. He maneuvers in. All over him, Porcella.
Now again, there's not a lot of movement on the New Canaan point right there. It's kind of standing around a bit, and that's something they can't do. And here we have the transition that Wilton loves to play.
Couldn't connect, so here comes again Keith Porcella. This kid can fly, maybe the best athlete on the team and a fine basketball player to boot. Moving in, DiGiovanni with the grounder and the goal. He decided to go downstairs with it. They've been going upstairs throughout. But again, that was started by Porcella, and I'm sure the happy recipient there, and you see him.
Well, you have a mistake here on the part of New Canaan's defense. The ball comes down, Mark DiGiovanni gets in there, but they let him walk in too close. And we looked at the field earlier on today. The balls are not bouncing that high when you take a shot, so it stayed down, and that's tough for a goalie who's used to playing on a field with bounces.
So score the goal for Mark DiGiovanni. And now New Canaan wants to talk it over. They have asked for and received a timeout. We'll take 1-2. 5 minutes, 3 seconds to go in the first half. It is Wilton leading New Canaan 7-2. We'll be back with more FCIAC boys lacrosse action. Stay with us.
You said we'd get him next time. Well, here it is. Game 7, World Championship. Game sold out, of course, except for 2 tickets some radio stations giving away. 2 courtside in-your-face tickets. And they're dialing your number. Your number, baby. But you quit treating your high blood pressure. You had a stroke. You're dead. No tickets, no next time.
Now, you'll notice out in the middle of the field here that the referees are measuring 2 sticks to see if they're legal or illegal. This is a normal occurrence at the end of a quarter.
Well, we're on a boat right now. We're on a ship. Okay, there you have a look at down on the field. Steve Rue is going to join us. Steve?
I tell you, I talked to Howard Benedict before the game, and I asked him specifically what kind of things you have to do to beat this Wilton team. And he mentioned a couple of things specifically. One is on offense, they had to maintain control in the box. In that last sequence, they did a pretty good job of that. But the other problem was transition. And if you look back at the Wilton goals, almost every one of them came off a transition. Not like the fast break like you see in basketball, because Wilton would set up when they got into the offensive zone, but it was transition just the same. And it's those quick goals that are really hurting New Canaan this evening.
There you have a good look at Coach Benedict, and I'm sure he's imploring his team that you really can't let it get away right now. Lang, why don't you make your point about the sticks? I notice the officials in the center of the field are holding 2 sticks.
Yes, what they do is that every quarter or randomly throughout the game, they will pull a stick off of the bench and measure it for length, width, depth of pocket, and whatever else.
Okay. Again, 5 minutes, 3 seconds to go in the first half of play. 7-2 is the count. I guess the stick's checked out okay.
That's right. If it's an illegal stick, it's a 3-minute non-releasable penalty, and there's nothing you can do about that, and it's inexcusable for an offensive or defensive player to have that.
That is
happen.
a major penalty, absolutely. So with the ball right now, New Canaan controls. The lead a little too strong there, as you had seen Will O'Brien. Now Wilton controls with the long stick. Here's a nice look at Tim Knowles. He sends it back to Bullard. And now moving in with the opportunity. Right on. Shot and a save. The ball's still in the crease. Oh, boy, O'Donnell having a big game. He could have had another one there. Campbell came up big.
Well, that's something that Campbell has to do, is he has to have a big game tonight. He's got to really step it up to be able to play. He had an excellent sophomore year. Now as a junior, they're looking for a lot of great saves from him in this game to get him into the championship, or to win the championship, excuse me.
Certainly are going to need it here. Well, there's Schubert. Again, the sniper hasn't really had a lot of offensive opportunities.
Again here, they're setting it up. You notice that Wilton is spread out very nicely around the cage so that no one can get a free shot coming in. When Payson Bullard comes in, he's the defensive man on the midfield.
Howard Benedict's team, again, just trying to stay in the game, try to stay as competitive as they can, and so far they're trying, at least in this series, to do that. Again, Coach Benedict, another fine lacrosse coach.
He's an institution in Canaan, almost like Guy Whitten is up in Wilton. They both have been very, very successful with their programs over the years. And here we have the transition again with Wilton coming down, unsettled situation.
Well, Johnson couldn't control, so here comes O'Donnell.
But you'll notice also in that case that Mark Amon was able to race down and to neutralize a 4-3 break and make it an even 4-4.
Well, DiGiovanni controls, tries to work around Schubert. Wings one towards the net, held nicely by Flick. There you see Zuckerman.
We haven't heard much yet from Travis on the assist side, although he has carried the ball in a couple of times.
A good long stick work there. Again, good work by New Canaan to root it away. Gurney there on the steal. He leads. And again, those passes simply are not connecting, as Amon had the opportunity, but again, 2 passes that just couldn't connect, really hurting New Canaan. The Rams have to play a perfect game.
They do. Chris Amon there was looking to pass the ball before he caught it, and that's not unusual sometimes when you're down by 5 goals in a big game like this.
2 minutes, 43 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first half. Oh, the pass beautifully in front of Flick, but a save by Campbell. Rebound attempt and a goal. And guess who it is again? John O'Donnell. So even though Flick may be neutralized, Whitten may not be getting the assist opportunities, somebody else is.
John O'Donnell with a great garbage goal out front. We had a great save by Campbell. The rebound went out, and John O'Donnell picked it up for a nice goal. Easy goal, actually, because your goalie is always out of position when something like that happens. Very seldom is he going to be set right where he should be.
That, by the way, is O'Donnell's 4th goal of this game. He has accounted for half of the Warriors scoring tonight. Off the face DeGu controls. Ball now free.
And there you have Chris Amon fighting for the ball. DeGru, this is something that New Canaan needs to come up with, as many of these ground balls as possible.
Having it momentarily was Knowles.
A little sloppy play out there for both teams. You have New Canaan on a push from behind against the Wilton player, so Wilton will retain possession.
So we are approaching the 2-minute mark now of the first half, and again, New Canaan finds itself down by 6.
Which is not unusual across the league this year to have yourself down by 6 to Wilton.
Well, you know, again, and when Coach Benedict and I talked, he had said, you know, it's not often that this team scores 10 goals and loses. Oh, there's a shot and a goal. A beautiful pass in front and a great feed. Again, it ends with DiGiovanni. It started with Zuckerman. Wilton just keeps throwing things at you more and more. They pile it on. Their great speed and great depth keep coming at you.
Again, there you have a great shot by Mark DiGiovanni. He put it up in the upper right-hand corner, off-stick side from Campbell. It's not much he can do. He was just allowed to walk right in, and a great feed out front. Great feed.
Because the last time these two teams played, again, New Canaan scored 10 goals, and it's rare that when they score 10, they lose, meaning that they hold their opponents to single digits. But it's just, it's almost never where a team would score 20 against New Canaan. And that happened in the first game, and right now things are not going the Rams' way.
Well, again, the offensive firepower of Wilton is just awesome. We've seen it across the state and over in New York State and Massachusetts. They've played teams from all over the area. They beat the #1 team in New York 2 weeks ago, Yorktown, 11-8.
Schubert tried to fling one on. It was redirected and out of bounds, and Wilton will get it. 1 minute, 19 seconds to go in the first half of play, and it's 9-2.
Again, it has been pretty much all Wilton. They have been able to control the ball, and they haven't allowed New Canaan more than one shot, maybe two when they come down the field before they get it back down to the other end.
John O'Donnell, a fine player, maybe 5'10", 175 pounds or thereabouts. Good soccer player, exceptional quickness, and maybe one of the reasons why he's doing so well. And the other thing they like about him, too, is he's got a tremendous eye, good passing ability, but really he's got that eye in the goal today with those 4 goals. Here comes Flick maneuvering in.
And we have a flag out here right now. They're going to have a hold on Brandon Hall. He had that ball, his stick wrapped up around Andy Flick's neck and just pulled him down, hog-tied him.
Here's a look at the flag. And those are our officials for tonight's game. Got 2 of them.
Again, tonight here you have Andy Flick, very strong player, and Brendan Hall, who is a very strong player also, and they just matched up against each other, and Andy Flick beat him. Brendan Hall had to hold him and pull him down.
Winding, firing, and a goal. John O'Donnell. This is not a recording. His 5th of the game. He continues to account for at least half of the Wilton scoring on the night. And he does it again, Lang.
Again, here we have the movement, the ball movement all the way around. Bogle to O'Donnell. That's something that New Canaan can't allow them to do, is get a man up like that, because they move the ball so well around the outside.
Under a minute now, 50 seconds to go. There's a nice look at the faceoff that Bullard controls. Running in with a shot and a goal. Oh, Payson Bullard.
That's why he's in that game. He controls the faceoff, gets that transition game going, and he just took it right to the cage. Nice shot.
As quick of a goal as you'll want to see for the Wilton quarterback.
He just keeps pushing it down the field. Big, strong kid, long legs, eats up the ground, and just outran the guys, the New Canaan defenders, and went right into the cage.
So with 43 seconds now, the cat is indeed out of the bag, as Wilton has just absolutely opened it up and dominated, and it's in particular the last 5 minutes, and here we go again.
Change in the face-off there for Wilton. Jeff Zuckerman faced off as opposed to Payson Bullard. And he won the face-off. Didn't control the ball as well as he might, but he did win the face-off and kept New Canaan from moving it down the other end.
Here comes Witten moving in, shooting one and a goal. So again, You see Travis Wilton coming in, and I think just the complete lack of confidence now. They are just peppering the goaltender, and normally the assist man, Travis Wilton, gets the offensive opportunity and scores.
Again, a nice move around there. I really feel sorry for Campbell. He's just getting peppered right and left. It's a tough game, especially when you play against an offensive firepower like Wilton right now.
It is now 12-2. I mean, 12 is a good game. This is a half.
Well, here you have Travis Wilton, who's only got 15 goals in the season, and he is predominantly a feeder and did a nice job of just moving his man all the way around.
So again, Wilton up by 10 now. The remaining seconds, I think it's fitting that O'Donnell would get the opportunity right before the half. He fires one on and a save. Rebound never goes up, and with 1 second stoppage of play. So this one is going to come to a close with 1 second to go now in the first half of play. They'll reset everything, and I'm sure that Howard Benedict wants to talk it over with his team. Down 12-2. How rare is that?
Well, when you play Wilton, 12-2 is not an unusual score at the halftime.
And that does it. So 1 half in the books, and it's 12-2. So Lang, overall, just some first half feeling?
I think some of the mistakes that New Canaan has committed here, whether it's been penalties, missed passes, has hurt them. I think on the other side, though, you're looking at a very strong offensive machine that is really hard to shut down. You can't shut down the Wilton team. You give them a crack, and they just knock it wide open, and that's what they've done here. They have just pushed the ball down, taking shots, moving in. And I think it's going to be tough for anybody to beat them this year.
Yeah, let's talk about what New Canaan now would like to do. As you see a nice look at the Wilton following here at Boyle Stadium. What does New Canaan have to do to get back in this one?
Well, they've got to try to get back into their game plan. Control the ball. Do not allow Wilton to move in down by the cage to shoot, which is what they're doing. They've got to be able to settle down, catch and pass the ball. I think one of the problems we're going to have in the second half is, can Wilton retain the intensity for an entire game when they're ahead by 10 goals at the halftime? That's always a difficult one.
So we'll talk more about this contest. We'll review the statistics. We'll have both Lang's and Steve's comments about the first half and maybe a bit of a perspective on the second half. Before we do all that, though, let's step away and take this time out. At the half, it is all Wilton. The Warriors lead the New Canaan Rams 12-2. We'll be back with second half action. We'll talk more. Stay with us.
Today's FCIAC Lacrosse Championship game is brought to you in part by the Connecticut Lacrosse Foundation, fostering the growth of lacrosse at all levels. Prudential Wheeler Real Estate, serving Fairfield County for over 68 years. And by Connie Youth Lacrosse, covering all of Connecticut and southeastern New York. The Wilton Lacrosse Association and the Darien Youth Lacrosse Association.
I'm Tom Ellis with a newsworthy invitation. Join us right here for Newsworthy. You just might learn something new.
Welcome back to Boyle Stadium. Bill Ganello, Lang Clark up here in the booth. Steve Rue is down on the field, and he has a special guest. Steve?
Yes, I do, and I have Coach Chris Smallkeis. Did I get it right, Coach?
Right,
Fairfield Prep.
Yep.
And he is going up against Wilton next week in the state tournament. And off of the showing against New Canaan so far in the first half, that doesn't look to be an enviable task.
No, actually, we have to play Glastonbury on Saturday. Home game at 3 o'clock. Well, I don't know. You know, they're well coached and they have a nice team, and they've been playing well as of late. So we would like, we'd like to get a victory then, and then the next round series would be against Wilton at Wilton High School next Tuesday. They're putting on an outstanding show out here tonight. They've got a great team, and they're very, very well coached. And, you know, they're very difficult to play against in terms of, you know, matching up individuals as well as, you know, what they do in terms of, you know, team defense and team offense.
It seems to be that almost any individual that has the ball in the offensive zone has the opportunity to score. And how do you defense against that?
It's difficult to defend them individually. We played them earlier in the year, and we played with a great deal of enthusiasm and hustle and heart. And we played them tough. You know, we lost the game by, I believe it was a 14-6 score. But we stayed in it throughout the whole game. You know, we played some zone defense and a couple of other different defensive schemes against them. You know, they're just very, very good. They're very well coached.
Okay, good luck next week. Back to you.
Okay, that was Steve Rue down on the sidelines with the Fairfield Prep coach. But who are the Baltimore Bandits?
Could be a club lacrosse team.
Okay, well, we do know who the Wilton Warriors are as we see the second half getting underway. It just caught the tail end of the face, and we are underway with second half action. 12-2 is the count, and Lang, how do those numbers look through one half? Obviously tilted towards the Warriors.
Well, amazingly enough, most of the statistics are pretty well even up, except for the shots on the goals. That's the big difference. But saves, face-offs, penalties, that hurt them. Ground balls, it's not a big discrepancy, but that shot on the goals there, 24-6. You're never going to win a game if you can only get 6 shots on goal and allow the other team 24. And that shows the firepower and the offensive aggressiveness of Wilton.
Well, New Canaan with it now in front. A shot hits the post.
Goalie
bell ringer. That's right. Got the bell ringer. And you know things are going the goalie's way when that happens. So, again, New Canaan offensive opportunity. Couldn't get it to go.
Now, there you see the excellent stick work of Adam Wolfman out there. He just picked the stick right off and got the ball out. Can't see which New Canaan attackman there.
Well, they're trying to fight it and work it free. And, again, New Canaan having trouble. Wilton gets it back, though, as, again, they pretty much stopped the penetration down there and pinned them in.
And, again, here you have the New Canaan players hustling back on defense and allowing the Wilton players to come back, but they're setting up their defensive scheme right away. Try not to let Wilton get into that transition here.
Tim Knowles. There you see Payson Bullard controlling for Wilton.
And again, here comes Bullard off, and you have Mark DiGiovanni going in. Offensive midfielders coming in.
Again, Guy Whitten makes the switch. He goes to the more offensive-minded players when they're on that end of the field. Here comes DiGiovanni maneuvering in, had an opportunity, loses the ball. Wilderman comes away with it.
Great stick work by Brett Wilderman right there. They do have an excellent defense in New Canaan.
Chip Buzzio, another guy, again, we talked about his speed and competitiveness. Tremendous hockey player, carries it over.
And again, here you see Wilton is contesting New Canaan almost the entire area of the field also. They're playing a very similar type of defense.
Mike Johnson trying to maneuver again. New Canaan trying to keep the ball probably on this end of the field. Hopefully better things will happen. They went into that funk, especially in the last 5 minutes of the first half where everything just went wrong. Had both physical and mental lapses, and it really cost them. Trying to get back in this one now, down 10.
And there you have Scott DeGrew with the ball, and he just can't seem to get around Jeff Zuckerman out there in the corner. Excellent defense by Jeff Zuckerman.
Moving in, tries to spin the net, looking to feed, tries to sidestep.
And again, there you see that there was nowhere to put the ball. He couldn't pass it out front. New Canaan could not get a man open. Wilton did a great job of defense.
A suffocating defense there, and I think that's the best example we could show you. Leading it in, here comes the Warriors. O'Donnell, the man, had that tremendous first half, 5 goals in the first half, leads the charge. Now it's Whitten.
And there you have Whitten to Flick. Flick trying to move it in. Great defense on number 4 for Tim Boyd for New Canaan. Knocked it out of Andy Flick's hands.
Tried to flick one on, couldn't do so. Boyd, again, not 100%, but again, a solid player.
Now there you could have had an unsettled situation for New Canaan. They had 2 Wilton players switching for defense. Nice save by Steve Ward.
And a great maneuver in front, but again, Ward coming up. You know, Ward, as you see him there right in the center of your screen now, coming up big when he has to.
He's been doing it all year. He hasn't been tested as many times as he should have been just because their team is so offensive and strong at the other end. But when he has been tested, he has done an excellent job.
Here comes O'Donnell in the attack area, trying to maneuver around 3 Rams. They know who he is now.
Again, Brendan Hall with a great stick check. Knocked the ball loose. Now just see if New Canaan can come up with it.
Trying to work it free are the Warriors. New Canaan puzzling them in and somehow flicked towards the net. Campbell tries to clear out. He leads. Wilderman, again, can't connect on his passes. He feeds it to Buzzio, who's probably had one or two checks in his hockey career. Just took a lick right there and keeps going, trying to get it back now. Nice sidestep move by Adam Wolfman. Again, a tremendous athlete on this squad. Oh, boy, a blatant throw of the stick by Amon. And Amon is going to be nailed.
We have a 30-second technical for a hold on that. He just went right over his back and knocked him to the ground. And you'll see coming up, you saw that right there, you see that Jeff Zuckerman was leaving his stick behind him, and he tried to, Chris Amon tried to jump over him and couldn't, and brought him down. 30 seconds. Man down for New Canaan, which again, something they just can't afford to do.
7:45 third quarter. 10-goal lead for Wilton at 12-2. There's Flick in the far side corner. Bogle. There's O'Donnell. Watch out.
And again, Bogle has 2 assists on the man-up goal so far tonight.
Good crisp passing as Witten found the DiGiovanni underneath. Couldn't get it to go. Goes wide of the mark. Held in. Wilderman tries to clear and does. The long stick, Riding. Feeds Buzzio, who's now free. He gets it into the offensive zone. Nice feed to Mark Amon.
And you'll notice how fast Wilton was able to get back on defense to neutralize.
Schubert in front, a shot and a goal. Finally, I'm sure New Canaan must be thinking, as a beautiful look, there's Schubert. He found Buzzio in front, and nothing Ward can do, and New Canaan gets back on the board.
Again, you had a defensive lapse there on Wilton's case. Left Chip Buzzio open, wide open out front. And again, it starts with the clear right out front. Nice little look. Bingo. Chip Buzzio with a goal. No one on him.
So, much like in every other quarter, in the first quarter, New Canaan got the first goal. In the second quarter, New Canaan got the first goal. And now in the third quarter, it's what they do after they get the first goal I think they have to work on now.
But you don't want to get Wilton mad, that's for sure.
It seems that's the case. Bullard, Payson Bullard, again, the quarterback for the Wilton football team, now a fine lacrosse player, carries it. Sends it back to O'Donnell.
Last time he played in this field, he lost an overtime heartbreaker to Brian McMahon for the FCIAC championship.
Oh, boy, did Brian McMahon have a tremendous football team.
I think you have to look at the Wilton Warriors as having an awesome football team, too, and taking probably the top football team in the state, or one of them.
Certainly one of them,
overtime.
Absolutely. Yeah, their coach is another... the tremendous coaching, the tremendous coaches in the FCIAC. I mean, you've got Sangster and you've got Witten. I mean, it just goes on and on. The list of fine coaches that you have in this area. Darien has, like I said, the great coach in Sangster, and the football programs year in and year out are so tremendous. And obviously, you're looking at 2 of the best lacrosse teams in the FCIAC. And like I said, you may be seeing the team in white as the best in the country.
Well, the only team that probably comes close to them is Boys Latin, and they lost 2 weeks ago to Boys Latin from Maryland, and they lost the game 2 weeks ago, so they're not undefeated anymore, and there's a very good chance. Again, the mythical national championship comes out in the summer, and it is voted on by the Lacrosse Foundation, and we'll know at that point.
Zuckerman fends off a rather high check, and slowing down the tempo a little bit now as we approach the 5-minute, 25-second mark of the third quarter. Now moving in, winding and firing, a save by Campbell. Ball stopped in the crease, and Campbell clears. Maybe a break opportunity. Here comes Will O'Brien. Pestered there by Knowles. Feeds it ahead.
And again, I think both teams are settling it down because of the fact that the defense is so good. They're just not letting anybody have any uncontested passes, ground balls, anything.
There you get a look at Craig Schubert, the high scorer for New Canaan this year. Opts to pass, and again, New Canaan keeping it on the perimeter.
You'll see the defenseman shift and slide very well for Wilton, so that if he beats his man, there's a defenseman right on the other side to take him up. Doesn't let him get that open break to the cage or that open shot.
Mark Amon now basically stopping behind the net, waiting to make his move. working behind the net. O'Donnell all over him, maneuvering towards, finds a player in front, maneuvers in, shot blocked out in front. Ball still on the ground. Trying to control New Canaan, it does. Buzzio comes away. He's trying to get around Bullard. And he'll set it up.
Again, take it out to the corner, and I wouldn't be surprised if Buzzio tries to go one-on-one, beat Payson Bullard, and then dump it off to an open man out front.
Here he comes. Bullard all over him. Nice defensive stick work there by Bullard to keep it on, again, away from the netminder for Wilton. And again, they're really doing a fine job, never really giving him the opportunity to put it on.
They really aren't. They're just covering the man where they need to cover him.
Steve Ward controls now, and he kicks it out.
Adam Wolfman up the side, and watch him motor. He is a very fast player.
On a perfect feed.
Jeff Zuckerman wide open in the middle, but again, dropped the ball, and here comes New Canaan back on the other side.
In the person of Mark Amon. Tries to get around the defender, feeds it, still controlling. There's a flag that's been dropped. One pass couldn't connect, so on that, they stop play, and a hold will be called.
We had a delayed penalty. It's a 30-second technical on Wilton. Now New Canaan, I think, is going to have their first man up for the game right now.
This is the first one. Absolutely right.
So right now, I think you had Jeff Zuckerman, John O'Donnell had the penalty on that one for a hold outside.
So New Canaan up a man for half a minute. Let's see what happens at 3:20 now in the third quarter of play. Wilton rather silent here in this quarter offensively.
Well, remember what I said at the halftime. Will they be able to keep the intensity going for an entire game when they're up by 10 goals?
Schubert ahead. Again, New Canaan being patient here. There's Tim Boyd. Now Amon. Boyd winds, fires on the ground. Save. Beautiful save there nicely by Ward. Ball on the ground. Still trying to come up with it. Wilton slowing things up. Basically, there's I think Wilton just trying to ice the ball there. Trying to freeze the play, let the clock be their ally. They do stop it. New Canaan, however, retains.
They say that Wilton had its hand on the ball, so they couldn't get it out of there. But again, here you've got to see a little more patience on New Canaan's side. They have to move the ball a little more. Now we're even. The penalty just expired. But on a man up like that, you've got to be patient and move for a good shot, not something from way outside like that.
There's Boyd. He's trying to get it near the net. Again, New Canaan has had some offensive opportunities, but pretty much gets stopped within about 25 feet of the net. There's Mark Amon. Nice riding going on there. Oh, great defensive work. That is tremendous work there by Garrett Schaffrath. And, of course, we talked about his prowess on the defensive end, and there's a perfect example of it. Buzzio now brings it back for New Canaan as we approach the 2:10 mark now, the third quarter.
Again, a little sloppy play on the part of Wilton there. They had the ball knocked out of their stick on the clear down in front of their bench, and then the bad pass across the middle.
There you have a good look at the scoreboard as we now are at the 2-minute mark. And New Canaan has some work to do. Defensively, they've been doing it. Offensively, they're trying to pick it up. Winding, firing, another save, and a beauty this time. Ward
is having a great game. He's keeping the ball out of the cage. He's shots from outside, inside. He has saved a number of very tough shots.
Well, there you saw his clear out pass to Schaffrath, a good one, but Schaffrath couldn't control, so New Canaan will get it back.
Again, here, if you look down on the sideline, Howard Benedict, almost every word out of his mouth is patience. Slow it down, patience, which is what New Canaan needs to do to get back into this game. And again, excellent stick work right there by
Schubert loses it twice, as a matter of fact. Still doesn't have it. Ball free right at the center stripe.
And Mike Shuloff comes up with it to Andy Flick.
Here comes Flick, moving in, shot, and a goal. So finally, Flick, who you would think we would have called his name out in a 13-goal game several times, haven't had the opportunity, but this time we do.
Now here you can see the strength of Andy Flick. He just walks right in with a guy draped all over him, and a nice shot away from Campbell. It was an excellent, excellent play.
Just like that, Wilton gets it back, 13-3. Three players converge. Now the ball still loose and out of bounds.
Actually, to be honest with you, it looks like they didn't. They disallowed the goal.
Did they disallow the goal?
I think he may have either had a ward coming in there, which was that strong move with the guy draped over his arm. It looks like he had a ward.
Yes, they did. I just saw the official look back, and he made the left-hand flick as if it was a ward, so they are disallowing that goal.
And New Canaan gets possession of the ball.
And so there you see it. Apparently, maybe he warded him off, and that was the opportunity right there. But here comes another offensive chance. Racing in. Here comes Wilton. Oh, the pass couldn't get it on the stick of Shuloff. He was right there in front. A beautiful pass by Wilton, but it couldn't connect. So New Canaan will get the opportunity. Under a minute now to go in the third quarter. It's still 12-3. 12-3 as they disallowed the flick goal. We feel, Lang, because he warded the defender off as he was making his move towards the goal. You can't do that.
Looking at the replay, you can see him move his free arm up to push the defender's stick away. But in that last transition, Keith Boycella did a great job of unsettling the offense coming down in Wilton's favor. Just couldn't connect on the pass to Andy Flick out front from Travis Wilton.
Well, Knowles poke-checked that away. However, New Canaan holds it in. 22 seconds now to go in the third quarter. Mike Johnson controls for New Canaan. Trying to get around Knowles. Again, there's another solid athlete on his way to Duke. Moving in, making his move towards the net. Johnson trying to pass. Goes behind the cage.
Good, strong defense by Wilton. They're not allowing New Canaan to do anything.
2 seconds, have to make the move. Can't get the shot off. So again, you talk about the strong goaltending, but it's the suffocating defense in front that has also been a hamper on the New Canaan offense. So 3 in the books, and as the teams go to their respective huddles, let's take another timeout. The score is Wilton 12 and New Canaan 3. Back with fourth quarter action in a moment. Stay with us.
Today's FCIAC Lacrosse Championship game is brought to you in part by the Connecticut Lacrosse Foundation, fostering the growth of lacrosse at all levels. Prudential Wheeler Real Estate, serving Fairfield County for over 68 years. And by Connie Youth Lacrosse, covering all of Connecticut and southeastern New York. The Wilton Lacrosse Association and the Darien Youth Lacrosse Association.
I'm Sarah Arnold.
And I'm Tom Appleby. If you've been watching News 12 lately, you learned about the compromises that led to a new state budget agreement.
You heard of 3 more cases of vandalism that wreaked havoc at area cemeteries.
You found out why the Beardsley Zoo is just wild about a state budget windfall.
And you learned of a new meaning to the term special handling at local post offices.
News 12, first on the scene, first with the story. Your first place for local news.
Weeknights on the hour on Channel 12.
Fourth quarter action here at Boyle Stadium in Stanford, and for the FCIAC Boys Championship game, it is all Wilton, 12-3 after 3. Bill Ganello here along with Lang Clark up in the booth, but down on the field, Steve Rue. And Steve, what's up?
Well, I tell you, we've been talking a lot about the Wilton offense and what you cannot do, which is to stop it. But let's take a look at the third quarter in the Wilton defense. After all, New Canaan really had the ball most of that quarter in terms of time of possession. A lot of time in the box. Only got the one wide open shot at goal. That one they scored on early in the quarter. But most of the rest of the quarter, if you look, anybody comes even close to getting a scoring opportunity, he's got 2 sticks on him and some good saves in front. None of them really wide open shots. The Wilton defense, if you really think about it, has been just as impressive as the offense tonight.
Those are the comments of Steve Rue, our sideline reporter. There's a look at the New Canaan Brain Trust. And again, lots of thinking going on in this contest. After 3, again, the numbers, Lang, were fairly close. I mean, you had a fairly well-played third quarter if you're a New Canaan fan.
You're right. I mean, we're shots on goal, saves. The ground balls actually were in New Canaan's favor. But again, very even stats. It's nice to see the shots now are not as lopsided, which is definitely moving into New Canaan's favor.
Well, you saw early on there, as I see that, and they are trying to do it, Brett Wilderman making the offensive opportunity with the long stick, feeding in front, couldn't connect. So Warriors trying to come back with it the other way. However, New Canaan intercepts, and here comes Mike Johnson.
Again, you wonder if New Canaan's going to stick with their game plan. Their third quarter there, they outscored Wilton 1-0. But again, they still have 9 goals to go to tie it.
They are taking the defensive posture and certainly do not look as aggressive offensively as they did certainly in the first half. But I don't know how anybody can, especially those last 5 or 6 minutes of the second quarter.
Yeah, the intensity level is always tough to keep when you're that far ahead, and it's just something that we've seen for teams across the league, no matter who they are, when they get that far up.
Well, maneuvering in, Amon, his shot goes wide of the mark.
Chip Buzzio chases it down and retains possession for New Canaan.
Wide of the mark, sorry about that. That was not intended. Mark and Chris, of course, brothers, 2 solid players for this New Canaan squad. Here you have a look at Buzzio. The short stick.
The New Canaan players out front need to move a little more. They're just sort of not just standing around, but they need to move a bit more and not just have one player try to beat the defenseman.
Well, again, Buzzio trying that corner move, and really tremendous defensive work there by Bullard. Boy, he just picked his pocket. Got it to the goalie Ward, and he's going to clear it out.
Now you can see why they put him in on defense. Face-offs and defense. Payson Bullard is an excellent, excellent defensive midi.
There you take a look at Zuckerman, who's been quiet in this half, as has O'Donnell. Again, not often do you see guys get 5 goals in a half. DiGiovanni. In the corner, Travis Whitten. There's Andy Flick. His goal warded off in the third quarter. First shot there in the fourth, in front save. A rebound attempt by Whitten, couldn't connect. So New Canaan clears, and a nice lead there. Here comes Don Gurney with the long stick. He maneuvers in. In the offensive attack area, here come the Rams.
Again, nice clear by New Canaan. Move the ball down. Maybe they're going to try to change something in the fourth quarter and really up the pace for their offense.
Well, Amon controls, waiting for Buzzio to come in. However, he is being tailed by Garrett Chaffrath, and he's being blanketed.
That's something that the Wilton defensemen have done all year against just about every team they've played. Excellent, excellent defensive players.
O'Donnell, good two-way player. He's providing the defense here. And again, they're pretty much just trying to clear things out, slowing the tempo, trying to clear it out for that corner move. Maneuvering in, gets the inside look. The shot goes on the side of the net. It did not break the plane. It traversed. It went around. So, though it dented the twines, it went on the other side. So that doesn't count. Here comes Wilton.
Again, a nice clear by Adam Wolfman down there, the open man. He wants a goal. You can tell him. He's looking for a shot. He was looking for a shot there.
I know. How often do you see this? In front. There it is. Oh, what a save by Campbell. As Whitten put it right on. 2 converge. Ball still loose in front. They're trying to work it free. It does get worked free, and the shot goes wide. It is last controlled, and it will be by New Canaan because they made the move after it. So again, Whitten stonewalled in front. Really nice save by Campbell.
And again, here we have just a long clearing pass that New Canaan was not able to control. Wilton comes up with it. This has been the part of the game. They just haven't been able to clear the ball. New Canaan hasn't on a consistent basis. Now they're setting up a soft ride.
And that weak pass stolen momentarily. Johnson feeds Amon.
Nice play on Johnson's part to jump up and knock that ball down.
Gets it over the line, but a whistle blows, and New Canaan asks for and receives a timeout.
And that is their last timeout of the game. You're allowed 3 in a whole game, 2.5. They took 2 in the first half.
7:50 to go in the game. Again, it's Wilton leading big. We'll take this timeout and be back with more fourth quarter action.
Visit the 66th Annual Oxridge Charity Horse Show, Monday, June 12th through Father's Day, June 18th at the Oxridge Hunt Club in Darien. Our championship horses and riders will thrill you. Our boutique garden will delight you. And in return, you'll help Darien's Center for Hope, where families and individuals find comfort when facing serious illness. New this year, Sunday's $35,000 Oxridge Grand Prix, an official U.S. Equestrian Team Regional Show Jumping Championship. For more information, call 655-2559.
Back here at Boyle Stadium, you know, Campbell has had some down moments in this contest, but there have been moments where he's come up big.
Well, here you have the shot that Andy Flick took coming around the side of the cage, and he made a beautiful shot and Campbell came up with an awesome save on the offside there. I thought it was a sure goal from the angle we had here, and he just popped that stick in. Great save.
David Campbell, again, goalie. He's a junior, so you'll see him again. But again, here's a young man who had a tremendous sophomore year. It's a tremendous sophomore year.
You know, again, you look at the league last year, this year, next year, you've got a number of strong goalies across the league. You've got Campbell, you've got Ward here, you've got Dance down in Darien, Norwalk, Prep, Greenwich. I mean, there are a lot of young goalies. Two of them, Dance and Ward, graduate. But Greenwich returns a goalie, Prep returns a goalie, Norwalk returns a goalie. Yeah, it's a very, very strong league for players, goalies in particular right now, coming up in the next couple of years.
New Canaan with the control. Down 9.
Just good, steady plays here. They need to move the ball around, pass it, get as much activity as they can, and try to get an open man. They've done it a couple times. It's worked very nicely.
Mike Johnson warded off there nicely. Poisella not allowing him to maneuver. Poisella, a speedy player. You know, when he gets the ball, look out. But also fine on defense. Warding off Johnson. Again, keeping it on the perimeter. There's Mark Ammon.
And this is where Wilton has been so tough. They've been challenging every player, no matter where they are, unless it's midfield. They're not letting him get in and pass that ball.
I mean, as you can see, it just the question is, well, why can't they get it in that perimeter? You know, why can't they break the perimeter? But it's just that suffocating man-on-man outer defense that just never allows them to get a good look inside. And again, when they get within 10, 15 feet, it's just non-existent.
Well, one thing you have to look at is Wilton has excellent athletes, too, and they have speed, and so you just can't beat your man out front. They play great defense, and they make up, if they slip, they make up for it with the coverage and the help from their fellow defensemen.
Well, Johnson tried to power his way through, couldn't get it to go, loses possession, and right there, Wilton on it. And now they're making the situation substitutions.
And again, here you see a soft ride by New Canaan, allowing Wilton to get it right up to the midfield.
Those soft rides just aren't working. They just don't see that. I don't think that is in their nature to be this way, to be a little less aggressive.
I think what you're looking at really is New Canaan wants to get back on defense as fast as they can just because of the offensive firepower.
And there's a pass in front and a beauty and a shot and a goal. Chris Amon was the man who got the feed in front. And I try not to say that too loud to our Darien fans, but Chris did get the offensive opportunity and stuffed it home, and a beautiful pass from Craig Schubert.
Again, there they finally were able to get Wilton to be unsettled. Here you have Schubert out front. Nice quick stick shot from Chris Amon. It's an excellent play.
Chris, the hero, of course, in the last game for New Canaan, getting that overtime goal in the semifinals to lead the Rams to victory over the Blue Wave. And stoppage of play there. And 12-4 now is your count with 5:53 now to go in the contest.
Now New Canaan gets the ball. There was a push from behind by Payson Bullard, so that New Canaan gets the ball, and they're now looking to really push it a bit now. They're not looking to slow it down that much anymore. They need to score some goals.
Well, Wilton, the team that has had so much firepower in the first half, has pretty much been throttled in the second half. No goals. They did have one that was called back. So 12-4 is your count. And there you see Stewart to Q.
Again, that is part of the suffocating defense that you see that New Canaan has been playing. They have been, and Campbell has also had a very good second half, too. He has not allowed any goals. And again, there again, we have failure to advance the ball into the offensive end of the field. You have 10 seconds once you cross the midfield, so that Wilton was able to get the ball.
Well, that was a call that was in definite disagreement with one of the assistant coaches for New Canaan, but again, he did not cross that perimeter, so you have to do it. O'Donnell, the man had such a strong first half, leaves it there for Zuckerman. He waits, has it in the offensive attack area.
Okay, we have a delayed penalty here.
Delayed penalty coming up. Pass in front, shot and a save. And again, Campbell comes up big on the shot by DiGiovanni, but there has been a flag thrown, and there's some arguing going on, Mike Johnson and the official.
There's an offsides here against New Canaan, so that we have a 30-second technical penalty. New Canaan is saying they had their player just on the edge of the field, whether the referee could see him or not, but we're now looking at an offsides, 30-second man down.
Nice shot on goal save here.
It was a great play out front and a great save by Campbell. He's come up big in the second half. He has had a super second half.
Well, they see what he can do in these next 30 seconds. Again, Wilton on the attack. There's Travis Whitten, of course, the son of Guy, the coach. Up top, winding, firing shot there, goes wide of the mark. That's John O'Donnell.
Again, Wilton should be a little more patient. They should be able to move the ball a little further around the cage.
Wilton's going to try to stuff it home. Whitten is. For Wilton, boy, he ran into a a mountain there of New Canaan Rams. Oh, a cross-court feed there. That was a beauty by Zuckerman. He tried to angle that ball in through a host of Rams, and it got through. Couldn't connect on the pass, but was a nice play nonetheless. The steal here, nice interception. There's Adam Wolfman. He carries over. Another flag is dropped. I think another delayed penalty is going to be called on the Rams.
Again, offsides on New Canaan. The attackman who was chasing Adam Wolfman down the field on the far side stepped on the line, stepped over the line, and all it takes is 1 inch, and he was over. Offsides, 30-second, man down again. Again, what is amazing is to watch the intensity of Guy Whitten. He's got 4 minutes to go. He's up by 8 goals, and he is still as focused and as intense as he was in the first minute of the game. That's what makes him such a great coach.
Guy Whitten. How many years, Lang?
I think 26, 400-plus wins.
The only thing I know is 72 losses. He was very, very adamant about that. Yes, that's how many I have, and I know it. His team up by 8 here. Thinking before he was shooting, that was Zuckerman.
I bet you knew exactly how many wins he had, too.
You tell him that. There's Travis Whitten behind the net. Feeds it high. Flick, I think maybe the thing here is to try to get a goal for Flick before this game is over. I mean, here's your natural scorer. Actually, that was Bogle up top. But Andy has been silent. I mean, where would you think they'd get 12 goals and none of them from the guy who's got almost 80?
Again, that shows the good defense that New Canaan is focusing on Andy Flick. But then John O'Donnell has been left open for 5 in 1 half.
It's like who you rob Peter to pay Paul.
But again, the defense in the second half for New Canaan has been excellent. They have been able to shut them down and pick up 2 goals.
Johnson working around the check. Now he finds Schubert, who has really been held very quietly tonight. Nice offensive assist on the last exchange. But now he's trying to set himself up in front. That pass can't connect. Trying to get it is Boyd.
Tim Boyd took his eye up just at the last minute, and I don't blame him with some of these defensemen that are out there.
Under 3 minutes now to go in the game. New Canaan finds itself down 8. Buzzio with a sense of urgency gives it to Boyd. Up high. That's Eamon. Boyd. Trying to reset, but again, Shafrath and the defense just not allowing anything. And Shafrath with the steal. Garrett comes away with it. Here he comes. It's a 4-on-3. Running in. Feeds Whitten. Shot. Oh, nice save. Oh, that's a beauty.
Again, Campbell came out with a big save. He has done such an excellent job this half. He really has.
There's a good look at David Campbell. Untouched. DiGiovanni up high, winding, firing, and another redirection out in front. Beauty there, and again, they will retain with the clock right now stopped, but definitely the ally for Wilton.
Well, whatever they did at halftime in the New Canaan locker room is working when it comes to the defense, and it's actually working on the offense. They've outscored Wilton in the second half 2-0.
Trying to maneuver around. There's Zuckerman in front. Whitten trying to find Flick. Couldn't get it together. Not on the same page. Ball still on the ground. Trying to come away with it. Flick trying to maneuver. Can't do so. Now he comes up. Gets it up high. Whistle blows. The stoppage of play.
Because of the fact that in the last 2 minutes, the team that's ahead has to keep it in the offensive box, and Wilton took it out of the box, and New Canaan is going to get the ball.
Now you'll notice you really can't see it as well on this field, but that second line, you could sort of see it on the right side of your screen, that broken line. Because you're under 2 minutes now, that is where the leading team has to keep the ball. So the field is shortened now for Wilton for the rest of the game.
I mean, they have to keep it in that box if they get it down there. As soon as they get possession. Now he's got 10 seconds to get it in the box, and this is to keep him from stalling. And once it's in there, it's got to stay.
O'Donnell thinking, moving, trying to get it inside, walks right in, still controlling. And now maneuvering away. So nice work there by O'Donnell just to hold on to it. Oh, pass in front. Look out. Shot and a goal. So finally, Andy Flick is heard from. Again, his first of the game, the 13th for the team.
Again, there you have the defensive gambling that New Canaan has to do to try to get the ball away from Wilton. They left Andy Flick wide open as he came around the side.
Let's take a look at Flick's goal again.
Again, there he's just wide open, and that's his second goal of the night tonight. But for a guy who's got 77 goals coming into the game, to hold him to 2 in one night is amazing.
Even he looks relieved.
He also looks like he might have been hurt early on in the game, too, because he's been bending over and holding his, I think, a leg or something. He has not looked like he's been 100% physically.
So there you saw the scoreboard. Under a minute now to go in the game. 13-4. Wilton with the lead. Bullard passes out. Now, again, he's got 10 seconds to get it inside. He is now. And a violation.
It looks like we have a delay of getting it into the box, 10 seconds, so that New Canaan's going to get the ball.
Well, that pass doesn't go, so Wilton will get it back anyway. 34 seconds now left, so congratulations. Wilton will remain unbeaten and now has 3 more wins to go to get that first ever. I mean, of all the things Guy Witten's ever done, this has probably been the only thing that he hasn't had is a completely unblemished season.
He's come close a couple
of times. Be a nice send-off, yeah.
He's had a number of one-loss seasons. What's even more...
Oh, boy. DiGiovanni for the 3rd time today going around the New Canaan defense, keeping the intensity level high. Number 3 on the night for DiGiovanni. Goal number 14 for Wilton, and they get the 10-goal lead back.
Something that's also very interesting is that Wilton's freshman team is undefeated, JV is undefeated, and the varsity.
It's talent like this.
Again, here, Mark DiGiovanni, very fast. Not very big, but very strong and very fast, and he just moved it right down the field and took advantage of that speed.
DiGiovanni, you'll hear from him again, only a junior. So the clock winding down now, 20 seconds to go in the game. There's Bullard. He controls.
I would assume that they're just going to move the ball around in the box. There's no point in trying to score another goal with 12 seconds. They're just going to pass it back and forth.
Well, Travis Witten controls with 5. So congratulations to Guy Witten and the Wilton Warriors. And that shot rings the bell at the buzzer. Why not? Give it a shot. So the victorious Wilton Warriors come away with a 14-4 victory over New Canaan. A nice effort for the Warriors on the day. A very strong first half. The team got out of the gate a bit slow as New Canaan scored the game's first goal, but then Wilton dominated, scored the next 5 goals in the first quarter. Then when the second quarter happened, again, New Canaan got out of the gate. As you see the team exchanging handshakes and the team's getting together now. New Canaan got out of the gate quick, get the quarter's first goal, but then it became all Wilton. And then by the end of the half, the last 5 or 6 minutes was the most dominating lacrosse that I've ever seen on this level from an offensive standpoint. Continuing Wilton was to pepper the goaltender Campbell. Guys like DiGiovanni and also O'Donnell continuing to put the pressure on the goaltender. They opened up a big 12-2 lead and pretty much set it on neutral and sort of took it home from there. And a fine, fine effort for Wilton today. So, Lang, just some overall feeling and some maybe review of the numbers?
Well, first of all, when you look at the numbers right now, the ground balls were even during the game. The thing that really stands out is the shots on goal, which Wilton had 39 to New Canaan's 11 for the whole game.
Right now what they're doing is they're giving out the awards and the trophies. And there you hear as Travis Witten holds the plaque up high, symbolizing, that plaque does, the championship for the FCIAC. The Wilton Warriors come away with the victory. And now the team will be given some gold medals given to the fine members of the Warriors squad. All right, let's go to those numbers again.
Well, again, as I said, the shots on goal are the real big item that you look at. 39 for Wilton, 11 for New Canaan. Again, New Canaan had 13 saves, 7 for Wilton. It really wasn't that much of a, I mean, Campbell came up with a great second half. But, again, O'Donnell with 5 goals, DiGiovanni with 3, Flick with 2. The second half, If you want to have any consolation for New Canaan, it was a 2-2 game. Whatever they did in the locker room really worked in the second half. And Campbell, again, had a very big second half.
So I guess when you look at it, you have to say that, and there's a good look at New Canaan, and I'm sure they are disappointed, but they know they'll have another day. This year, it's not like they have to stew over it for a year. They still have the states to deal with, and I'm sure the way they played in the second half, they can take away the positive from this game.
Well, definitely, and if the tournament holds true, they're the second seed in the state tournament. They will see each other again at Sacred Heart on Saturday, the 10th of June, for the state finals.
So to review the goals, O'Donnell had 5 on the day. DiGiovanni had 3. Now, Flick, I guess, had 2. I don't remember the first one.
I think it was very early in the game.
Early on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Andy scores them so often. And I believe they're going to make the announcement for the most valuable player, and I don't think there should be any doubt of who it is. Senior John O'Donnell is the man who is the most valuable player, and there's a good look at him right there, shaking the FCIAC commissioner's hand. A great game for O'Donnell. 5 goals in the first half. And again, and this is the type of pressure that you'd see. Travis Wilton and Andy Flick, everybody talks about, but you've got so many, as you see the teams now changing hands. There's a good look at O'Donnell.
It's just such a strong offensive team that if they shut down Andy Flick, you know, O'Donnell comes in. You shut down O'Donnell, you got DiGiovanni, you've got Zuckerman, you've got Shuloff, you've got Bogle. I mean, you can begin to go through the names that they have on this team, and they are just so deep that you can't run with them for a whole game. It's impossible. But again, they lose 19 seniors this year, but they've got 16 juniors coming up right behind them. It is a very, very strong program and should continue to be, no matter who takes it over. Although it's going to be tough following a legend like Guy Wilton, sort of like John Wooden at UCLA. Who was the coach that came after him?
Gene Bartow. But I don't know why I knew that. It was a lucky guess. But you're right, and I think it's a foregone conclusion. Guy hasn't said anything, and I think the reason why, he doesn't want to take anything away from the team. He doesn't want to distract his team in any way, and he's low-keyed. I mean, you really can't fool the people in this town, but I think as you see the teams exchanging handshakes now, yeah, Guy's probably going to wrap it up here, but I'm sure he wants to as the two coaches are exchanging handshakes now. And there's a good look at Coach Benedict. You know, and you talk about him, he's really established a tremendous and made a tremendous mark in New Canaan.
Oh, he has an excellent program going up there. And if you look at the number of times that they have won the FCIACs, won the states, been in the finals, consistently they're one of the top 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the state year in and year out. Excellent athletes, excellent lacrosse players. Again, their youth program does a lot to do that, you know, to develop that kind of program, as does the Wilton program. They have a youth program. Darien has one. Greenwich has one. You're going to see every one of the towns that has a strong youth program developing into a top-quality high school team.
Well, again, Steve Rue is down on the field, and he has Coach Guy Wilton with him. Steve?
Yes, and that's one of the goals you have at the beginning of the season, to become the FCIAC champion, and you did it this year.
We sure did. And, you know, we really, at the beginning of every season, that's one of the, we set 2 goals for ourselves. One of them is to qualify and play for the FCIAC championship, and likewise for the state championship. So we've got one of the 2 done. We'll see if we can get the other one done now.
Now, in the first half, you go up at halftime 12-2, and it looked like a very strong game. But I noticed you were a little upset in the fourth quarter of this game.
Well, I think that, you know, that one of the things that we didn't do, you know, it's difficult to keep your kids wired into it the way we were the first half. I think with such a big lead, we had a lot of turnovers on offense. And let's give New Canaan a lot of credit. They played hard. They never quit. Their goalie made some huge saves in the second half. And I think that's, you know, that kept the roof from completely falling in on them.
Now it's a state tournament. You know, you've kept the streak going. You're still unbeaten. Does that become harder as you go along?
No, I don't think so. You know, every time you go out on the field, there's a chance you might win, a chance you might lose. So, hey, 50-50 at least.
Well, some people might say it's better than 50-50 for you guys this year.
Well, that may be true, but, you know, we'll let the season speak for itself when it's run its course. But, no, I don't think so. I think the kids are confident that they can play, and, you know, I just see them, this game should certainly give them, if they had any lack of confidence before this, they should certainly not have any after this game.
Anything surprise you in this game?
No, New Canaan tried to do some different things defensively. They tried to put 3 long sticks on our midfield, on our blue midfield, and you know, those 3 kids are just super players, and I don't think that paid off very well for them, because we got the ball. They had short sticks covering our attack, and you know, we in the first half, that was one of the reasons why we scored, you know, a lot of the goals that we did.
Okay, well, congratulations, Coach. Good luck in the States.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Wilton has done it again. They're still unbeaten, and now it's on to the States.
It is indeed, Steve. It is on to the States now for the Wilton Warriors. 16 state titles. That's a plenty for Guy, but I'm sure he's looking for another, as is the team in red, the Rams from New Canaan. And again, as Coach Benedict is talking to his team now, I'm sure he's saying, look, there are a lot of positives that you can draw from this game, and don't be demoralized because the second season truly begins, Lang.
That does. It starts on Saturday with the first round of the playoffs, and that is what everybody gears for in the States. I mean, the FCIAC is great, but you want to win a state title. You want to keep playing. You want to be in that last game of the year. Even if you lose it, you want to be there.
And they were. But congratulations to the guys in white with the blue numbers, the Wilton Warriors, the 1995 FCIAC Lacrosse champions, with a victory over New Canaan. Well, my thanks to Scott Vicker, the producer-director of this operation. Also, my thanks to Steve Rue and Lang Clark. You gentlemen did a fine job. And, of course, all the technical people here at Channel 12. So, again, for all those people, Bill Ganello saying thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time for the state championship lacrosse match. The final score for the final time, it was Wilton beating New Canaan 14-4. For everyone here, have a pleasant evening.
Today's FCIAC Lacrosse Championship game is brought to you in part by the Connecticut Lacrosse Foundation, fostering the growth of lacrosse at all levels. Prudential Wheeler Real Estate, serving Fairfield County for over 68 years. And by Connie Youth Lacrosse, covering all of Connecticut and southeastern New York. The Wilton Lacrosse Association and the Darien Youth Lacrosse Association.